Hello and welcome. Welcome. We're going to look at the collective transits in astrology from January toward April 2025. And I'm filming this in December. Mercury stationed direct a few days ago, and it's going to leave the shadow, so the retrograde zone, so to speak, on January the 2nd. And the Capricorn new moon at 9 degrees of Capricorn this is going to be December the 30th. So it's a new beginning for Capricorn in many ways, in a way now. Since Pluto has finished its transit through Capricorn, that lasted the last 16 years. Wow, what a chapter to close and to kind of like start to digest in a different way, or in a way it's like Pluto is in a new phase to Capricorn, all Capricorn placements now that anyone has. So yeah, it's like a new instinctual stage of stepping into our maturity and our own authority, our own guidance, really following our own knowing with that, how we live our lives, how we structure things in our individual lives because of the North Node being in Aries, and then also like how to then fit that individuality into the collective, since the North Node is moving opposite direction from what the planets move. So it is moving towards Pisces. It's going to be joining Neptune there. Let me see if I can get like a circle here. Man. Move up. No, move to top. Yeah, this horseshoe here is the North Node. So, new beginnings for Capricorn. Because, yeah, also Pluto is there, like just moved out of it. Whoop. So those are like some of the bigger changes we're having right now. It's not so long ago that Pluto started going direct again and moved into Aquarius. Yeah, it was November the 19th. All right. So, this chart is the 13th of January. We have a full moon in Cancer with Mars that is still going to be retrograde for a while in Cancer. By then it's in Cancer. And yeah, so not only has Capricorn, the opposite sign of Cancer, gone through like this whole upheaval and reset in a way. Now we're finding the new form for Capricorn. But then also we're having this opposite sign energy to balance it out, which is like the nurturing and the accepting the emotions. And it's about balancing these both energies. We need to have like a healthy structure and maturity going on, but we also need to have those moments where we take very, very good, gentle care and we just find the ways to relax so that we can then act from a place of relaxation instead of from like a fight or flight kind of energy, because that would affect the results of what we do from that state. So that's why it's so important to have that emotional acceptance and nurturance and like loving on those parts of us that are not feeling great. That's the only way to transform them. And those parts, I don't know if they ever go fully away, but it's like about learning to be there for them. Okay. And Mars retrograde. Mars also rules the North Node. Aries, our individual will, our authentic uniqueness, and our initiative too, that we have been healing with Chiron there too, like for a while. I don't remember exactly, but it's gonna be there still for 2 years. Even if the North Node focus moves to Pisces, we still have Chiron until 2027 in Aries, so we're still gonna keep healing these themes going forward. And this Mars retrograde is like kind of like, yeah, we need to nurture that part of ourselves. And that Cancer energy helps us to heal that Aries wounding that we have. I really think so. And it's like kind of like it's the first quarter to Aries. Cancer is. So it's kind of like a call into action, into nurturance of your unique direction, of your unique initiative, that no one else can tell you what to initiate, but it needs to come from you, that you would nurture that, and then it can spring from that sort of a loving base, the home, Cancer, the 4th house. So that's what I think about that. And Mars is going to be retrograde from, it started on the 6th of December 2024, and it's going to be entering from Leo to Cancer on the 6th of January 2025, and then it's going to station direct on the 23rd of February. So it's going to still be retrograding here in Cancer for a bit, all the way back to 17 degrees. Okay. So that's the North Node. The South Node is still in Libra for a bit. We got some Lilith action in there still. Have you already freed yourself? Have we freed ourselves collectively from repression regarding our relating? Are we holding ourselves back? Are we being authentic, Aries, in our relationships, Libra? Or is that being repressed? And if yes, then we need to first like recognize it and be gentle with ourselves and compassionate, like we've been doing the best we can. But then like it doesn't need to stay that way. We can free ourselves from these rigid definitions of how a good like relating happens. Just like how everyone is an individual, Aries, everyone also has then an individual way of relating, and it doesn't need to be by some outer norms that we do it, as long as we are like that we have a mutual understanding and harmony, and like, yeah, that we speak our truth with the people who we are connecting with, it in a, you know, in a gentle and compassionate way as possible. And that is a good base then to build those like awesome and fulfilling connections. It's completely different world than if you are trying to be someone you're not. Yeah. So that's been also going on for the with the nodes 1.5 years. The nodes are in a specific pair of signs, then they move to the next ones. Okay. The ruler of, or like the planet associated with Libra is Venus. Got Venus somewhere here, right? Oh, it's gonna be in Pisces already. Yeah. So yeah, we got this movement toward Pisces. And Neptune and Saturn have been there already for a while, for several years. In the case of Neptune at least. And now Venus is joining there, so I guess it's Venus wants to bring our attention to the spiritual side of connections and of like, in a way, bringing that spiritual Pisces side, that divine flow, hopefully bringing that too into our lives, into our bodies, into our connections, into our structures with Saturn. And also like, because North Node and Neptune in Pisces, I see that it could mean, for instance, that there's going to be a bit of like, we need to trust the divine timing and like that, the unknowing in a way, that we can't see always like what's coming, like the Neptunian fog in a way, but we need to trust that we can get through it and move forward into this divine flow of life. So these are some of the themes that are going to be with us for the next 1.5 years with the North Node in Pisces. So, and also like, I guess like things like poetry and different sorts of what I guess could call like divination or like intuition based practices to help guide us, and synchronicities and these sort of things. And then the South Node is going to be moving into the sign of Virgo. So going to have different themes of like, okay, we have this unique talent, but how do we bring it to the community in a way that is helpful, and we can like refine it every time when we do it, but also like that it will be supportive to our life at the same time. So it's not like just like, well, I mean, I do like the thought of like a gift culture too, but it's like, if we do that, then it would work best if everyone does it. And well, yeah, there needs to be some sort of reciprocity, or like some sort of yeah, to have it help to also like what we give and how we serve others, to have that somehow kind of to get something in return for it, that we're showing up for that. And usually that does happen in some way, but it's like Virgo's journey is about figuring that all out. So that sort of thing, but also like about health and maybe like, yeah, bringing things back that used to help us with our health, or like what is still holding us back from taking good care of our health, or things like that can be coming up. Those sort of things. Okay. What else is happening? We got some Capricorn action still. Sun in Capricorn season in January. And we got there also Pallas Athena. So it's about like just shedding light on maybe like the old goddess stories, and like, do we really understand them? And like if we look at them a bit deeper, it's like, will they tell them the story of these different like authority dynamics that had power over others, and like that the woman, to be powerful, needed to like not be a full woman, not be their full authentic. That she couldn't be actually then feminine and powerful in her connection to her own life force and stuff. She needed to kind of be like something else, something that she wasn't, to be accepted and be powerful in that kind of like a man's world. But I know that not all men want that, and they don't like it, and it's not good for all men either. It's just some men had this kind of view, and they pushed it on everybody. And that's kind of like what we need to unravel with. And it is unraveling. You can see it all over the place. And it's going to change more rapidly as we go on into this new phase of Pluto. Pluto being in new phase with regards to placements in Capricorn. Yeah. So also Mercury there at this point would say like, yeah, probably like conversations and messages about these themes about, yeah, who is fit to rule, and maybe leading is better, or like supporting or guiding. Maybe that's a better way to be an authority rather than imposing things. Yeah. And also like explain like, why is this a good thing? Because a lot of people instead they lead with fear instead of like, hey, this is a good thing, let's do this. Instead they control others by affecting them to go into fear, where they are much easier to mislead into whatever their agenda is. So all sorts, man. But yeah, it's all coming to light now. and we're going to talk about what would be better and give examples, and I think that's what's going to happen more and more with the Capricorn. Yeah. Okay. Just gonna lock these in. Okay, and what else is going on? Oh, did I lock in the circle too? No, I didn't. What? I talked about that. I didn't talk about these guys yet. Okay. We got Uranus still in Taurus. We got Jupiter in Gemini. And yeah, there's like expansion in looking at the details, looking at the words, finding all the words that we and the concepts that we want to use in our communications, and it's like an expansion of that. And then Uranus in Taurus, like bringing that awareness, that like that broad view, that multidimensional view of life and our experience, to bringing that into the body, into our lives, into our lived experience, so that we're not just living in that detached, broad perspective, but we're bringing it actually into our present moment. And that is the only way that we can actually make changes here on Earth and bring an anchor in that light that we want to see more of. That's how we do it. And then, like, if we think of Taurus, you can do that grounding, for instance, through beauty, art, sound, music, dancing, nature, natural environment, spending time there. And sometimes it requires also stillness and silence, so that it depends what is relaxing for you. Then you can relax then, and that awareness can in a way be felt and noticed in a different way than if we're constantly getting input from the outside. We can listen inside, close our eyes and just be in the moment. And that's the Taurus medicine, for me at least, as a Pluto Scorpio. Feels very important to bring some of that every day, besides even the nightly rest and sleep, to have some moments of rest and beauty, of course, around, and nature. It's just really helpful, I've found. Okay. So, got some Scorpio energy too in here. So, Vesta, her divine flame, the altar flame of the heart, knowing that we can transform, and bringing that, in a way, that altar flame is the awareness. And it's like, it's the awareness that, sits behind the ego. It's that true center of the psyche. And that is the light that stays even when we go through a transformation. The awareness stays, is the same, and it's the ego that then transforms. And that's how we can get through that dissolving, which feels really uncomfortable and scary in a way for the ego. But then when we are connected to that awareness in the background, then it isn't at all as daunting, because then like, okay, this will stay with me, this awareness, this presence. And it's just like the story that I tell myself about myself, that is changing. And then does also the actions that I take start changing. And that is like a rebirth of the ego, where it starts to get more aligned every time, with that awareness and with that divine plan. At least that's the hope that we have. And I do see it in practice also goes that way. So, has that awareness in you been repressed, and that connection to the divine? Bringing that into awareness is the first step to changing it. And then we got Juno also in Scorpio, in a way, reminding us like that our connection to like parts that we have disowned or rejected in ourselves or in like our environment, like how it seems that some people have rejected nature, that we can, we can transform that. We can bring back those parts of ourselves that for some reason we were told they're not good, that we can't have that. But it's there. We can't just deny it and be like, buh. When we accept it, it kind of changes in that sense. Then it won't be like a lashing out of things from the subconscious mind that we have pushed away so long that we no longer recognize it as ourselves. If we bring that back into our awareness and start integrating it in a healthy way, where we actually listen to it and like allow it to give us input to the situations, like for instance anger or something, then it can help us act in a way that is more considerate to others, where it doesn't become like a huge drama and a lashing out and that sort of thing. Instead, we can put boundaries and have some space apart until we can, digest it and know what to say in a more compassionate way. That's one example. There's thousands. Anyways, one more thing. Let's look at Aquarius. Well, Pluto started their journey there right now. But we got there also Chiron and Ceres. So Chiron is the wife of Chiron, the wounded healer's wife. And she held space for him when he had this uncurable wound that he was searching for like a cure to it, and she held space for him and spent time with him meanwhile. So she was there for him in that way. And I think this is encouraging us to be for ourselves in that way, where we give space for the process. Like, we can't all be there yet. We can't all have figured everything out, or we wouldn't be here. Or how do you think? We would already be outside of time and just like, scrolling through and picking and choosing where we're going to experience. But that's not exactly how the experience feels like, at least at this point. So we are in time, we want to be compassionate with the process of, you could say, I guess, awakening or healing and learning here about, and like, you know, the soul's evolution. And series is also like about the connection to nature and how our food and yield comes from the fertility of the land. And that's why we need to, like, you know, hold space for that too, and respect that and be thankful for that and take good care of it. Okay, awesome. So here are like the nice themes to lead us into 2025. And let's get into the next map. Okay, here's Aquarius. Aquarius new moon on the 29th of January. So we got the sun and moon conjoined for the new moon. So now Mercury is also then reaching Aquarius at that point. So then I guess the discussion and the messages will be more and much about, again, Aquarius. What is that new that we're going to be researching and kind of stepping into, kind of like the full card, like just like leaping into the void with the unknown. And Aquarius as a sign is a lot like that, and it's like someone who isn't as acquainted maybe with Aquarius energy might look at like Aquarius person, like what they're doing or what they're getting into, and it's like they don't really get it, like what? Or they might even be like some people might be like even like think like it's all crazy or something, but it, to be honest, it is part of what is like egging on our evolution, is that there are also those types in society that are going for the unknown and, you know, researching it and making experiments with it to find out, you know. It's important. Not everyone needs to do it exactly as intensively, but some people, it's their task. Yeah. And like, how can we do this technology stuff in a way where we don't keep like extracting a whole bunch out of the soils and the mines, and how can we, you know, experiment and really see like different ways of doing it? We don't need to do it the same way all the time, like how we've been doing it for centuries. We can try different ways. It's like land management doesn't need to be the same as it has been for a while. It can be a bit different too, and that's okay, and we can just see how it goes too. Just give people like the chance to do it. Like, I would want to start a forest garden, but I don't have the land. Maybe I just need to rent land instead. Maybe that would be easier to find. But yeah, gotta find the ways how we can experiment with these things and show people locally how and what can be different. Like, I want to have like diversity, all kinds of different leafy trees and different berries and herbs and other like very beneficial plants, beneficial for the insects, the birds, and humans at the same time. So that's the plan. I really see Aquarius a bit like a gardener, you know, pouring the waters, letting it flow. And that's, I think, one part of this picture. Let me know what you think about Pluto in Aquarius the next 20 years. Yeah. So I guess I guess prelude continues for this energy. And we talked about Pisces quite a lot already. This other stuff is kind of the same. Yep, it is still the same at that point. So listen to the first chart if you're interested in those. We got the next chart is about February the 12th. It is full moon in Leo. Got the sun in Aquarius, the full moon in Leo here. So a full kind of bringing that Leo part to the Aquarius picture, where, you know, Leo is about our individual expression and like our bringing our life force into form, into expression, and into acts. In a way, Leo is the artist. So how can you bring your creativity to this bigger picture of Aquarius that's associated with Uranus too? Just like, to some degree, like that so broad perspective that you kind of are looking at things from outside of time even, or even as like different possible timelines and all sorts of things. But like, how can you bring your creativity to enrich that collective picture? Because, you know, your individual perspective and your individual expression, even if it it is always a bit subjective, but when we have more and more of these authentic subjective perspectives, then that's going to lead us to have, you know, a better understanding of the shared bigger picture. So if you feel called to do that, you have Leo energies pumping through your heart, then please join in and express yourself in the world in different ways, locally or globally, or however you find your path. Your guidance is guiding you from within, from that stillness, then into action sprung. Okay. And yeah, the slower placements, well, pretty much all the placements again are still pretty much the same. Yeah, listen to that. The first 30 minutes of this video is like the main gist, but let's look forward. So we have Pisces, new moon, February 28th. Here we go. This is like a crazy stellium right here. I need to make this circle bigger for it. That's crazy. Uh-huh. Yeah, Ceres is there. Moon, Sun. There is Saturn, Mercury, North Node, Neptune, all in Pisces. So, yeah, this is gonna bring in like a heap load of that Pisces energy for the new North Node activation. We're going more towards trusting that higher power, hopefully. That's kind of my plan, anyways. But I mean, I guess there can be also, confusion and dissociation and, yeah, like illusion too. It can go that way and it will for some people too. So that you can keep that in mind too. But it's at the same time we need to. It is like that's the direction is there is coming more of this Pisces energy in, and in its like aligned form, it is about, in a way, clearing ourselves out, letting go. That balsamic energy of the 12th house with Pisces is like letting go so that we can hold, so that we can channel, so that that divine can flow through us. And yeah, hopefully that means that more people are going to be connecting with that energy so that we can create a much better life for everybody here on planet Earth. Yeah, and let's talk about it more too. If you want to have a conversation with me, you can send me an email. We can meet up and have a video call if you want to talk about astrology with me. Yeah. I won't charge anything for at least for the first 30 minutes, because I want to talk about astrology so much. So please contact me if you're interested. Okay. Yes. So, and also like, I guess then like that divine flow also with Ceres would be like allowing also the divine flow of the emotions and the grief too, and also I guess the joy and that, in a way, appreciating the cyclic nature of time, that we are not always in the full moon. Sometimes we're in the new moon and in the balsamic letting go, and sometimes we're in the blooming and the illumination and the clarity of the full moon. So yeah, to respect and to allow that the cyclic experience, because it is what it is and we're in it. So we might as well accept it and keep doing the best we can, as always. Yeah. So Venus here will have moved on to Aries. So again, like maybe bringing more focus then again on, are we being our authentic selves in our relationships? Do we have enough space for ourselves? Do we have, on the other hand, I guess, enough space for ourselves in relationship? Like, can we do we feel comfortable bringing our true self and saying what we think and sharing that with people? Can be some of it. Yeah. Okay, next chart. We got Virgo, full moon. Here we go, Virgo. With the South Node. So maybe some illumination about Virgo themes from the past. Where have we been serving without getting in like enough of a compensation for it, for instance, or where was it actually good? Like, oh, this was an equal exchange. Like I served and I got served. Not exactly. That's not the right way to say it, but I helped someone and they gave me something in return. Like, when did we experience that nice kind of exchange? That can be coming up. Too, like what good experience with Virgo themes and what less good experiences, and what can we learn from it, and how can we kind of evolve that to have a more fair exchange. Okay. We've got Juno moving to Sagittarius here. So maybe we want to bring back like that some sort of overarching in a way like worldview or something that about by bringing like how Juno did in the old days, like how she was bringing back, for instance, when soldiers would come back, there would be like rituals to reintegrate them into society, and same just with other people who got kind of sidetracked and pushed aside or something, but Juno was there to bring back the people who other people kind of pushed to the side. And it's like both inner and like outer world. In a way, it's symbolic for the inner process of bringing back the parts of ourselves that we pushed back, but it's also in society. It's like we are not really treating each other always with equality and respect. Can see it. Yeah. But how can we, like, kind of exploring how can we bring that in a good way? It's like, I guess more collective gatherings might help, and like in a cultural, in a way, cultural ceremony where it's just celebrating the time of the year or whatever. It's like then we can bring each other together and then have that feeling of like, hey, we are one, we are together here, instead of like everyone celebrating on their own, which is also nice, but like also having those collective experiences brings us closer together. So that's one way. Okay, Pallas Athena there, joining Aquarius, going through the Pluto transformational field. So maybe she's a different boss lady by then. Maybe she can be her full self, doesn't need to repress parts of herself, her, for instance, sexuality, or, well, who knows what Palestina really wanted to do. They made her like generals or something, but well, did they ask her? I don't know. So what does the boss lady want to do? The boss ladies all around need to start telling us. Yeah. What is your guidance that you're getting? I would love to hear about it. Yep. Then we have Aries. Wait, was that an eclipse? Wait. Yeah, that Virgo. This Virgo. Yeah, of course. Well, it's like with the South node, so it's a then means it's an eclipse. But yeah, eclipsing in a way into our awareness. Like, yeah, and also like, yeah, the stuff that didn't work, hopefully we can eclipse away from that and more towards what works. And then we have like the final Aries new moon solar eclipse here. That looks like a beautiful stellium too, man. Here we go. Wow. So even though the North Node has moved into a Pisces, it's still close enough to Aries that this new moon solar eclipse is in Aries. And I guess we're going to be, in a way, based on this past 1.5 years that we've been working with this Aries energy, working on integrating it and clearing out what doesn't work and seeing and experimenting in a way, or making leaps and big changes in a way instinctually from our will and from our authenticity. Maybe this is like, in a way, a new beginning based on that. All that work that we've been doing. And yeah, it's at close to like 8 or 9 degrees of Aries. So I guess in a way finding that instinctual guidance, and like, you know, if instinct is detached from everything else about you, it might be destructive. But if it is connected to the wholeness, to all the other layers of you, all the emotional and mental and body and the broad perspective and the spiritual perspectives and all different perspectives, then we can get into that instinctual wisdom flow in a way where we got, you know, Pisces and Aries kind of merging, where what is like the true form in a way where everything is really one. It is all connected. And it's just like, you know, that fragmentation that causes problems. And that's why, like, okay, it's interesting to learn about all the different dimensions, all the different planets and signs. But it really is like a spectrum of the one, the spectrum of the full psyche or the full soul, and it is meant to be working as a flowing wholeness that Pisces represents. Pisces represents as the 12th sign. It represents the full cycle, all the signs together as one collective. So when we have that Aries instinct integrated into the fullness of what we are, then it is not lashing out on its own or taking us places where we don't want to go. That is when that instinct is being also guided by that awareness and of that trust of the divine flow and the divine big plan, that there is this big plan of life and of our evolution and of our experience that is teaching us things here that are important. And our instinct can also definitely kind of speak from that base, from those roots, from that awareness. Yep. And bringing that renewed Saturn, Capricorn. Saturn is associated with the sign of Capricorn, so Saturn is in Pisces here. And bringing that renewed Saturn energy that is rooted in, or is now being rooted into Pisces. And hopefully like the aligned Pisces, not the detached Pisces that doesn't want to be grounded, or where we would go and restrict, like, I don't know, the spiritual life or whatever. But instead, to that renewed Saturn is there to bring us healthy boundaries that actually help us build a better, healthier life. So that the boundaries is not about restricting and just deciding for someone else, but it's like kind of like that we ourselves can build like a good limits for like what we know that we like, and we can experience that this is good for us, and to experience that connection and that divine flow in our daily lives too. What are the limits that help us get there? Because it can be some sort of practice, spiritual practice, but it doesn't have to look like what someone else does. It's needs to be unique and individual, Aries. Yeah. So really it's about bringing the full picture into view. The full picture of all the different dimensions of our experience individually and collectively. I think that's what it's about, this whole beginning of 2025, really. You can listen to more of the placement indeed in the beginning if you just jumped into here, but yeah. So here we got an eclipse, so big shifts at that point, but the whole thing like leading up to it, the months, it is kind of preparing for preparing for those big jumps in all these teams. So it's kind of like a build up and then a leap or a shift. So I still gonna look at this final chart. It is 13th of April. It is a Libra full moon. We've got here. And so some illumination in the Libra themes. So since we have been bringing this uniqueness in and this divinity theme, it's now like, how is that? Is that also starting then to show up in our connections, in our intimate connections with our partners, with our friends, one-on-one type things? Like, yeah. Hopefully then you can be, as we have here, Chiron with the sun. It's like, in a way, we can see that, or like, that wounding is being still, like, maybe we're seeing like how that wounding is still affecting us in a way, like what is still needed to be healed for us to be able to be fully authentic, more of ourselves, more of, you know, in a way, more of that awareness, which is like that Pisces influence into it, the North Node in Pisces. But at the same time being like a unique human being with our unique genetics. And how do we bring all that, like bring healing to that it's okay to be different at the same time, and to communicate about it. And communicating also, because here Neptune is with the North Node, is like communicating about our spiritual beliefs too. It's like we don't need to hide that part of ourselves. Like I don't know. I guess in some sense, I don't feel like there's that much open discussion about spiritual, also in a way spiritual individuality, because it's not about, you know, like we can see like huge religions can go a bit awry sometimes, like a lot of the time. In some ways, at least, it's like, and sure, why not? It can go awry with individuals too, but it's like we have the freedom to explore this too. It's not someone else's thing to decide for us what we believe. But can we be honest about it? Can we connect with each other even if we disagree about it? Can we be respectful? Can we be harmonious even if we disagree? So that's kind of what Libra is asking here. And we have Lilith, the triple goddess kind of that I call her, or she's connected to thematically to, you know, the primordial feminine goddess of the void and of, you know, the cosmic feminine, the the womb of everything. But her story is one of like where we have repressed collectively. We have repressed her and our memory of her. And we want to bring that back. Kind of like her going into Scorpio is like kind of like, well, can we remember please now like that we have that capability to transform. We don't need to keep what is repressed. Not in ourselves and not in our societies. And that doesn't mean that we need to like violently pull it out and push it in other people's faces or whatever. No, it's like about that inner work of integrating that part of ourself will actually have huge effects like on our circles, all the people we're in contact with in our lives, locally but also energetically. It will have effect on the world. The more people that bring back and accept parts of themselves that they had repressed, it will make it easier for others to do the same. So we want to reintegrate the ability to transform through that, connection to the divine and to that awareness, that knowing that is not the mind, that is different awareness, the awareness of the soul. And when we have that, then it is so much less scary to kind of surrender and be like, okay, man, I made mistakes and I did my best, but now I need a new beginning. So we let go of what has happened. We forgive ourselves for what has happened and we surrender that story. But then we don't stay in that dissolved state, We move forward and we keep evolving, because that's what the spirit and what life does, this evolution of the soul that evolutionary astrology talks about. It keeps evolving. We'll keep evolving. It's not going to stay the same. And it might seem like it stayed the same, but it hasn't. There's a lot of changes already, but it's just not visible everywhere. So that's what we're moving towards from my perspectives anyways with this. Thank you, my good people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for spending this time with me. And yeah, the channel has content in Finnish too. You can try to auto-translate that YouTube has to see if that works. If you're curious about those tarot readings, and even if I make for the same charts a reading in Finnish, I might say different things because I don't know. I think maybe my associations in Finnish might be a little bit different, and the language is different. And even though the translation might not be perfect, maybe there's something in there for you. Who knows? If that's interesting, you can check that out. There's also like from previously tarot readings and also in English, and some astrology from the past year if you're curious to look back a bit, like if you agree about the themes that I was looking at. And yeah, let's say a bit about this readings bundle here too. So I started making these this fall, these readings that I am not sharing publicly at the moment at all. So I have 2 hours of readings that if you want to have access to these, send me an email and send me a gift of 10 or 20 euros and you will gain the access link. And this is because I wanted to, you know, in a way create something that people could, you know, help support this channel, because I'm not getting any money from YouTube at this time, and I don't know if I will ever. But if you want to support this work, you can do it that way, where you get some extra content. And I'm thinking I would maybe make one more hour of reading there, like was my plan, 3 hours of readings at least. There's 2 hours now, so like a 1 hour reading of my own birth chart, because I think that might be interesting. I've been reading my birth chart a lot the past years, and like also how it, like how some transits affect it, and maybe I will be talking about that too, like in some shorter videos on the channel. But maybe I want to like bring the big birth chart reading to keep it like a bit behind wraps, like so that I know who will hear it, and like to keep that in a way private. So yeah, if you're interested in that sort of thing, you can contact me, please. And also, yeah, if you want to talk about astrology just as like as a conversation privately, then you can also contact me, and let's see about a time for a video call. Yeah. Cheers, everyone. I hope this was interesting for you, and have a great year 2025. Yeah. Blessings. See ya.